We all know the Tennessee Valley is a fantastic place to live, so it's no surprise that we continue to see it grow. And it's not always new people coming in. More and more, our kids are choosing to stay here and raise their families. But finding available housing continues to be a real issue. Charlotte Mabry joins us this morning. We're so happy to have her bright self on the show. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you very much.
When I was home in the snow, realizing you were coming in, I had read something online. I was just sharing with you that baby boomers are increasingly not choosing to leave the houses that they raise their kids in. So you have a lot of older couples with a big house and young families trying to find a house, and they're stuck in a small space.
And that is the market of the day. So that's a very apt description. Now, I are one of those baby boomers, so I totally understand. We've been in our home going on 20 years, and that was not our norm as a younger couple.
Right.
So it is difficult today to find housing. People are struggling, young families are struggling, and having done this for close to 40 years now, it's so hard for me to see them pay the prices that they're paying for property, because you know, a $400,000 house back in the day is quite different than a $400,000 house.
Yeah, it's kind of an imperfect storm, if you will,
Right.
because the interest rates are really kind of just slightly above normal. They're not excessively high, but
No.
the pricing is high.
The pricing is high, so it is difficult to afford that. And you know, what might typically have been a starter home of $200,000 to $300,000, that's crazy to say that's a starter home, but they're not there, and even that has become less affordable with the higher interest rate.
So you're actually today holding a seminar at 5 o'clock on Zoom, where you are putting your interviewer hat on and you're talking about what it's like to sell an inherited house.
Correct. One of our things is we're thinking, okay, how can we get inventory in the market for these people that would love to buy? And one of those opportunities are, and there are people out there who do inherit homes, or maybe they are thinking, gosh, mom and dad are getting ready to move from this property, maybe into assisted living or to something different from that. And there's a preparation for that needs to be done if you do it wisely, and perhaps to avoid tax consequences as well, both for your parents and yourself. And of course, I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a crazy real estate person. But you know, there's some planning that we can do ahead, and then we can bring these houses to market for the families, these young families that would love to have them.
So every situation is different, and at the end of the day, a home, they always talk about it being your biggest investment, so you do want that to grow. You want your money to grow. But greed is not a good thing either.
Well, through the years, I unfortunately have seen many families struggle with relationships after they've inherited a house and they find out there's some money there, and then how does that work? And so what we're going to talk about today is I'm interviewing a title attorney who does deeds and title work, and I'm also interviewing an estate planning attorney of how can you set this up to make this process easier for you and for your family as you progress through the stages. And perhaps you've already inherited a house. We need to know if you've got a will associated with that, or does it need to go through the probate process, or maybe there's a living trust or some sort of trust out there where you can circumvent that. And many times, I'll say most every time, when we work with someone selling a home they've inherited, they don't know anything about the process. And had they started a little ahead of time, they might have been able to make more money or to get their money more quickly, because probate will slow down that process of you getting your proceeds from selling a home.
So, and what you're going to do today, you will then have available online for people who can't join. But is your expectation then that you'll talk about to folks who maybe have recently literally inherited that house, but also those of us who might want to have our home set up in the event that it becomes inherited?
We're going to do both things. That's why we're talking to these two different attorneys, because they will approach it from oh gosh, I got to do it right now, and the other one's going to say, here's how we can plan ahead. Because I see sometimes where people will join a deed with their family member. Maybe their mom is in a house and they say, well, let's just put me on that deed with my mother. There are some good things, but there are also some bad things for doing that, particularly when it comes to taxes and the tax consequences for you down the road.
Because if your name is on the deed, and let's say the home is worth a certain level of money, that now makes you have to pay taxes on
It
that
could
money?
very well be. There could be capital gains taxes that happen with that, and that could be different than inheritance taxes. And depending on your level of income and all the other factors that are so crazy to deal with when it comes to dealing with taxes, it's good to have that conversation first.
Right.
And again, I've seen people make steps and do things that then we can't undo that cost them money. And if you're going to be into this circumstance, maybe you're seeing in the next year or two that there's an opportunity for perhaps you stepping in to help your parents with something. It's good to get a plan, perhaps set up a trust. Those are things where property can be passed on to you and the tax consequences are different and probably less. So it's good to think ahead, and if we can help educate everyone to think about this, that might help some of our inventory issues, be able to get these houses to market a little more quickly.
Let me ask you something too, shifting gears a little bit. For those out there who are looking to buy, especially first-time home buyers who are hoping for a starter home, and they're hard to find.
They are.
A couple of years ago even, housing prices seems like they were a lot higher than they are now. So if you bought a house a year and a half ago, and you paid $400,000 for it now, is it possible that that house now would fetch $390,000?
Very possible. It wouldn't be in every case, and I think the saving grace for those who are selling, of course for buyers that's a little different, but for those who are selling, is just still there's a lack of inventory. I was telling you about a home that one of our agents had made an offer on. This particular buyer of ours had made offers on probably 8 or 10 other houses and lost them all over this past year. So competition outbid. And so this particular house, they were the winning bid on. And so there were multiple offers, and it's a $400,000 price range, which you wouldn't think of that as being a first-time buyer home, but in this case it was. So it's just know there's still going to be competition. And as a first-time buyer, you can do yourself a favor by being sure you're pre-qualified, that you have a letter from your lender that says, here's all the things that you, that's good about you. I would put down as much earnest money as you can. That's a good thing. Sellers like to see that. And just be sure that you have your finances in order so that you can jump on something when it does come on the market. I think we will see some things come on the market, but it's still not the inventory we need. Nationwide, we typically sell 6 to 7 million homes. Last year it was between 3.7 and 4 million homes. So there's that much fewer properties that had come on the market last year. So there's just, the demand is there and the supply is not.
If you are a buyer, first time or not, but especially if you're a first time buyer, because if you're a second purchaser, you'll take the profit from your house and swing it over. It's a little bit unnerving because you don't know where to put your money. You still think it's a good investment to buy that house?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, in the nearly 40 years I've done this, we have seen one time, that was 2007, 8, 9, when prices dropped. But look at the appreciation since then. And if you look at over this past 40 years, and I actually saw a map of this on social media, so I haven't checked it out, but I saw it. And it was just showing appreciation over the past 30 years by state. And the state of Tennessee was just a little over 300% appreciation in 30 years.
Wow.
So again, I
saw that.
I don't know that, I haven't checked that out, so don't take that necessarily as the gospel. But there's just, real estate is one of many investments. But when you just look at time over task and keeping that time going, it's a great investment.
Okay, here's where you'll find her, because she's been doing time over task for 40 years, so she knows what she's talking about. If you go to charlottemabryteam.com or call them 593-5588. That Zoom is happening in real time at 5 o'clock
today, 5 Eastern time. And you can go on our social media to find a link for that, or call our number and we can get that for you as well.
Great to talk to you.
You as well. Thank you, Julie.
The best shower remodel for the best price. Montgomery Showers is offering huge savings on our very popular shower systems with 0% interest for 18 months. Now is the perfect time to start your project. Montgomery Showers, local, quality value, MontgomeryShowers.com.
The Hemp House is your local home for top shelf CBD and hemp products. Come meet our experts in a comfortable and